All right, welcome to Adding and Subtracting Mixed Numbers, the IXL reteach for 7G3. Before we begin, please have your notebook and pencil and paper out so you can practice along as we do these questions. All right, so the first thing that we need to talk about are the rules for adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So our rules, and there are 4 of them, are as follows. Number 1, just writing number 4. Number 1 is you need to find a common denominator for both of your mixed numbers. It's the first thing that you should do anytime you're adding and subtracting fractions of any sort. Second rule is to add or subtract the fractions. Now, during this rule, you may need to borrow if you're subtracting, and you may need to simplify after you add or subtract your fractions, and that includes turning an improper fraction into a mixed number if that happens when you add 2 fractions together. The third thing that you need to do is to add or subtract your whole numbers, and then finally, number 4, you're going to put them together. Okay, so let's practice. Please write this question down in your notebook. So we start with 8 and 5/11 plus 3 and 1/11. Our first rule, common denominator, check. They already both have a common denominator. Second rule is to add or subtract the fractions. When you do this, I want you to actually physically rewrite just the fractions in addition form, and the reason why we're adding is because we are adding these 2 fractions together. If there was a subtraction sign here, if this was minus, we would be subtracting these 2 fractions. Now 5/11 plus 1/11 equals 6/11. This is not an improper fraction, so there's no need to turn it into a mixed number, and it is already simplified. You cannot simplify 6/11. Step 2 is done. Step 3, to add or subtract the whole numbers. 8 plus 3 equals 11. Step 3 is done. And step 4 is you're going to put them together. So when we put 11 together with 6/11, we wind up getting an answer of 11 and 6/11, and that is our answer. So all 4 steps done there. Okay. Question 2. We have 19 and 7/9 minus 11 and 8/9. Common denominator, check. Add or subtract our fractions. Now, because this is subtraction right here, we're going to be subtracting our fractions. So we're going to do 7/9 minus 8/9. Now, I know we've been working a lot with positive and negative numbers, and you know that you can do 7/9 minus 8/9, and it's negative 1/9, but that's not what we're going to do here. Because these are mixed numbers, we have a whole number to borrow from. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to borrow from the whole number. The 19 becomes an 18, and we give that one that we borrowed to our fraction that needs it. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to turn this small mixed number into an improper fraction. 1 and 7/9. 1 times 9 is 9. 9 plus 7 is 16. Becomes 16/9 minus 8/9, which equals 8/9. So there we had to borrow. Okay. Step 3, add or subtract the whole numbers. 18 minus 11 equals 7. And then step 4, put them together. If I put 7 with an 8/9, I get 7 and 8/9. Okay, so that's the answer for that one. Question number 3. Now in this question, step 1 is not done for us. So the first thing we're going to do is rewrite these fractions with the common denominator. Our denominators are 9 and 3. And so the common denominator, the least common denominator, is 9. So I'm going to rewrite both these fractions with 9 as a denominator. Now, the first fraction already has 9 as a denominator, so that one's an easy one. There's nothing to change. The second fraction has 3 as a denominator. So if I write it as 9 as a denominator, I had to multiply 3 by 3 to get 9, so I have to do the same to 2. 2 times 3 equals 6. So 10 and 2/3 equals 10 and 6/9. Those are equivalent fractions. Step 2, add or subtract your fractions. We are subtracting 8/9 minus 6/9 equals 2/9. Nothing to simplify there. Step 3, add or subtract your whole numbers. 17 minus 10 is 7. And step 4, put it together. 7 and 2/9. Okay. All right. On this question, once again, we do not have a common denominator. Our denominators are 6 and 12. So the first thing we're going to do is find that common denominator. Common denominator of 6 and 12 is going to be 12. So we only have to change our first fraction. 1 and 1/6 becomes 1 and 2/12 plus 4 and 11/12. No need to change the second one. Common denominator done. Step 2, add or subtract our fractions. So we're going to have 2/12 plus 11/12, which equals 13/12. Now, we didn't have to borrow, but we can simplify this because 13/12 equals 1 and 1/12. So that is considered simplifying a fraction because it's an improper fraction, so we'll turn it to a mixed number. Step 3 is to add or subtract our whole numbers. So we have 1 plus 4, which equals 5. And step 4, put them together. When I put a 5 with a 1 and 1/12, I wind up getting 6 and 1/12. And that is my answer. Okay? The final question that we're going to go over today, we have a common denominator already, so we're good there. Step 2 is to add or subtract our fractions. We have 13/19 plus 14/19, which equals 27/19. This is not simplified since it is an improper fraction. 19 goes into 27 once with 8 left over, so it's 1 and 8/19. There's nothing that you can do with that. So step 2 is done. Step 3, add or subtract your whole numbers. 6 plus 4 equals 10. And step 4 is to put them together. What do we get when we put 10 together with 1 and 8/9? Well, we get 11 and 8/19. I think I misspoke and said 9ths, but 19ths. And that is our answer for that question. Hopefully that cleared some things up for adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So as we move on, please make sure to follow those rules, study those rules, and if you need any extra additional questions to practice, come to me and I can get you whatever materials you need for additional practice. All right? Great job.